So as you can see, I set up my board, and I would hope that your notes would be set up in a similar way. So what I did, and on your paper you can do this as well, kind of fold your paper in half hot dog folds and list these things on each side. So on one side of my paper, I would have my addition properties listed. The addition properties include, but are not limited to, the ones that we will be looking at this time include the identity property of addition, the commutative property of addition, and the associative property of addition. Now, if it was me, I would probably leave 3 or 4 lines in between each of these to be able to put a definition as well as an example of each property to be able to help you identify them. On the other side of my hot dog fold of my paper, I would set it up the same exact way, but instead of addition properties, these are going to be your multiplication properties. As you can see, sorry about the shakiness. Okay, so please make sure you have those in your notes. Pause the tape if you need to be able to set your notes up in an appropriate fashion. We're going to start over on the addition side, as you'll see here, addition. And we're going to start with our identity property, probably the easiest identity property. The way I remember identity property is it's like looking in a mirror. And what the identity property says is, in addition, any number plus 0 gives you the same number. Now, however you want to write that in your notes is up to you. Come up with a way that makes sense to you. I always think of looking in a mirror. I look in a mirror and it's me back at it. It's like looking at your own identity. So any number plus 0 equals that same number, no matter what it is. It could be 7 plus 0, still going to be 0. No matter what I do, it is always, always, always going to be 0. Okay? That is our identity property of addition. Now, our commutative property of addition, I always think of this key word in here, commute. You can hear that in there. And a commute means to travel back and forth, right? Back and forth. So what the commutative property of addition has to do with is numbers moving back and forth, but still giving you the same sum. They can be in whatever order, and they're still going to give me the same sum, whether it be 3 plus 2 or 2 plus 3. They're always going to give me the answer of 5. And that doesn't just have to be 2 numbers or 2 digits. You can extend that to be multiple digits. So in my notes, I'm going to have a definition of what the commutative property is and then an example. So as I said, you can have 3 plus 2 plus 7, and that's going to equal the same as 7 plus 3 plus 2. I can change the order of those add-ins and still get the same sum. It does not matter. Moving on to our third addition property here is our associative property. Now, what the associative property discusses, and you need to know about the associative property of addition, it has to do with parentheses and being able to group add-ins in different orders with different things within the grouping brackets or parentheses, if you will, and still getting that same outcome again. So even if I took this same problem here in my commutative property, this 3 plus 2 plus 7, well, if I add these two numbers first, that 2 plus 7, that is not going to alter my sum. I could also write it the same way, and instead of putting my 2 and my 7 in my brackets or my parentheses, I can put my 3 and my 2 in my brackets or my parentheses. I'm still going to get the same outcome. I'm still going to get the same sum, no matter which way I do it. So now let's look at the multiplication properties in math. You'll notice they are the same words, but they work in a slightly different way with multiplication as opposed to addition. We have the identity property, the commutative property, and the associative property. With our identity property of multiplication, which says any number times 0 will give you a product of 0. Pretty basic, but that's the law. That's the rule of the land. So any number times 0, or the product of 0, or the multiplied by 0, will give you a product of 0 every single time. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-digit number, a 2-digit number, a 75-digit number, they will all give you the product of 0. Now my commutative property simply says I can multiply any numbers in any order and still get the same product. So what that means is 7 times 4, which I know is 28, is also the same product as 4 times 7. It doesn't matter which way we write them, they are both going to give me the same product. This is something that was reviewed with you and discussed with you in 3rd grade when you first started learning about multiplication, because of the importance to know, if you know what 7 times 4 is, then you know what 4 times 7 is. So that's pretty nifty, because anytime you memorize a multiplication problem, you've actually memorized 2 multiplication problems. Okay? And similarly, the associative property says that I can put those brackets, braces, parentheses around any numbers with multiplication and still get the same product. So working the same thing, 7 times 4 times 3, putting my brackets, my parentheses around my 4 and my 3, would give me the same product as having those same numbers, but having the parentheses, the brackets, the braces around 2 different numbers instead. Those are our addition properties of math and our multiplication properties of math. In class, we will discuss our last property, which is a little bit more complex. It is known as the dancing distributive property. So we will talk about that tomorrow. I hope you took some great notes.